Dools.
Has.
Spike Lee's new film Defy Bloods has officially dropped on Netflix. We've seen it, we're reviewing it, but Dools, just roll the intro. Welcome, one and all, to another episode of the More Cops on Duty podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Harry. With me, of course, is the joint to my Spike Lee,
Whoa.
Edward Dools Dooley. Dools, how you doing on this fateful night?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, Dools. I'm good, man. I'm good. Same old, every day, you know? Are you back in the office yet?
No, we haven't been given an official thing. They're kind of just saying, so I mean, the government's step-by-step plan. I mean, I think we're in step 2. I'm not even entirely sure. Maybe we're getting close. I think July will mark step 3, but which is when they say people can return to the workplace, or they say it's okay. So I mean, we haven't been given an official word yet. It's just BAU at home for the time being. But you're not going back till September, you're saying?
Yeah, mid-September at the earliest.
Wow, at the earliest.
So now we're technically we're halfway now. Halfway now.
So how do
you been here for 3 months?
How do you feel about that? I mean, like, because you barely got to check out the office.
You got to make it. You got to make the best out of it. You know, like you can't really complain. You know, like I'm very lucky that I've got good job security, and like I've got a job that a lot of people just don't have. Like I'm I can't complain about it. And you got to make it the best as you can. You know, you got to take this time to get yourself in the best financial stature that you can, because there's minimal costs coming out. You can cook every day for your lunch and everything like that. You're not paying for travel, etc., etc., etc. So like it is what it is. You know, like it's hard to be angry at something so extraordinary. You know.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean, like, in the sense that because you only just started. I mean, aren't you keen to get into the office again, though? Because, I mean, like, considering that probably a lot of places are going to be going back earlier than you guys. Yeah,
for sure. I'm really keen. I'm a very sociable sort of guy. So, like, I thrive off just, being in that office sort of environment of, just banter back and forth all day. I'm very excited for that, but like at the same time, it's like it is what it is. You know, you just got to make do with what you're given.
Yeah.
It's like I'm fine with it. It just is what I'm not happy or sad about it. It's just I'm nothing it. It just is. I just live with it. You know.
Well, fair enough, Has. I think that's the best approach.
Speaking about just living with it, Dools.
Whoa.
Let's say that an average Joe just stumbles upon our podcast on Spotify and thinks, "What the hell is the More Cops on Duty? What are they?
I'm still so confused at how Joe, week in, week out, still stumbles across the podcast and still needs to be told what it is. That's what really confuses me. I guess there's more than one Joe, of course. I mean, that's a reasonable explanation. More Cops on Duty podcast is your bi-weekly dose of film, TV, and games news/reviews. You've caught us in one of our spin-off review episodes, More Cops on Duty Prime, of course, you'll find on every Wednesday, and where we go into the news of the week, do a bit of trivia, and just, we fuck around, yeah? And, so we're reviewing Defy Bloods this week, as Has mentioned, new Spike Lee joint, and, we're going to get into it. Of course, you can find the podcast on your podcast service of choice, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, etc., and so on. And follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Nice, Dools. Nice. As Dools did say, we are reviewing Defy Bloods, Spike Lee's new film that is dropped on Netflix. This came out of the blue. I'm kind of going your route lately. I've started to just avoid trailers.
Well, I mean, this dropped before I even knew anything. I didn't see a trailer or...
Yeah, apparently a trailer was dropped. I'm looking at it May 18th.
Oh, okay.
Got like millions and millions of views and had a heap of hype, but I was just out of the hype. So this was like a pleasant surprise for me.
That's strange. That stuff doesn't normally pass us by, Has. feel like you more than anyone dropped the ball here.
Yeah, I apologize. I apologize not only to you, Dools, but to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, this is like a review show, so we should say that if you haven't seen Da 5 Bloods, please go out to Netflix, please watch it. All in all, we both really liked it. It's a great movie. I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of Dools because he has no voice. It's a great movie. So go watch it, come back and join in the discussion. But Dools, all in all, what did you think of Da 5 Bloods?
I thought it was good. I've got a few problems with it, but I think overall, to give you a kind of general overview, I think it's a reputable addition to Spike's filmography, and I think it's definitely worth watching. Considering I think it's reasonable to say most people have a Netflix subscription, so yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely worth your time. So yeah, it's good. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't put it up there with his top tiers of like stuff like Do the Right Thing and like even Black Klansman. I loved Black Klansman. I wouldn't put it up there with that. But it's still, all in all, like if this was like another director, this is an exceptional movie for another director. But because it's Spike Lee, I would say it's very good. Yeah, I agree. Like I loved the characters. I'm curious to think what you'd peg it down for. Because like I've got some points as well of just like some predictability that like really broke the immersion for me in terms of a particular one scene. But I feel like we should just break it down by the plot, Dools. I've got a little synopsis here. Do you want me to read that out?
Yeah, go for it, Haz.
So 4 African-American vets battle the forces of man and nature when they return to Vietnam seeking the remains of their fallen squad leader and the gold fortune he helped them hide. It's a great premise for a movie. It's like a fortune hunting story that goes back in time with Vietnam War and everything like that. Vietnam War I find completely fascinating. So this already had me hooked, and this idea of just like this brotherhood and this 5-man squad, I thought was awesome. So the movie really goes back and forth between present day and the days in Vietnam during the war. The one thing that stuck out that I was just like I really like is the difference in aspect ratio when they go back in time. So they go from 4:3 to 16:4, like every time depending on what the time period was. Did you notice that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think it's it's hard not to. I think it kind of bashes you over the head to make you understand that okay, now we're going back to Vietnam and back during the war. Okay, now we're back to modern time. I think we'll touch on it in a second, but what I found actually quite jarring in those flashbacks is that they didn't make the guys look younger.
Yeah, I think that was a very weird
I think
choice.
That was deliberately done, but at the same time, that was never really set up as to why they did that. Like, maybe they were like, shit, man, like, it feels like we're really back in the thick of it or whatever, and maybe just like it drops them down in there as their present selves, but, they're back in the war, and so that I thought was a little strange, but yeah, so, sorry, you go.
No, I agree with you. I felt that more was like a bit comical at times. Where I'm like, oh, this is supposed to be a really like heartfelt scene or a really empowering scene. It's a bunch of these old guys being like empowered by Chadwick Boseman. I'm like I don't see, like, it kind of like took me out. But then I kind of get it. There's a point of like it's their memory, so it's them now remembering back to the memory of Chadwick Boseman, which was what was his name, Storm and Norman. Yeah, so the whole movie, like, it starts up in the 4, Paul, David, Otis, and do you remember the 4th? Paul, David, Otis, and Eddie.
Eddie, yes.
Paul, David, Otis, and Eddie are traveling back to Vietnam on an anniversary to go both find their squad mate or their squad leader, which is Chadwick Boseman, Norman, and also find the gold fortune that they found. And then, what's his name? Paul's son, David. No, I fucked one up then. Melvin. Sorry. So Paul, I fucked this up so much. Paul, Otis, Eddie, and Melvin were the four squads, and then David is Paul's son that followed them.
Yes.
Of course. Everyone that's listening to this has seen it, so they know. He followed them basically just to kind of blackmail his way into this and get some more money, but also to, try and get that relationship with his dad, Paul. So there's 5 of them set out, and it really goes back and forth of, like, they don't trust each other anymore at all. And there's the whole journey of them trusting each other, I guess. And it's just reclaiming that brotherhood that they lost through innocence when at the end of Vietnam War. What did you think of how it started?
So it starts with them, meeting up again, and they establish what they're there for. What threw me was that it just was it was not the film I was expecting. I thought it was a purely Vietnam War film following this small group, the 5 Bloods.
Yeah.
And it was just following their exploits, and maybe there would be some present day stuff as well. They would meet up and they would talk about it. But I thought it was largely going to be set during the war, because Chadwick Boseman looked poised as to be the lead, which and he ended up having the least screen time out of all of them. So so that, just the fact that it was actually mostly set during the present, it was mostly about their expedition, their journey, and finding Norman's remains, threw me a bit. But I was like pleasantly surprised by that. I was like, okay, well, it's not just another Vietnam film, which at this stage we've got a fair few of. It's something a bit different, something a bit more unique. And but then as the film progressed, it just became something completely different, and definitely not what I expected. I mean, you mentioned something about predictability earlier. I mean, towards the end, in the third act, I could have predicted a fair bit, but the second act onwards, like the turn they took where a certain person just fucking blows into a million pieces, I did not see shit like that coming. So
I saw that coming 110%.
I didn't see the mine coming. I saw maybe he was going to get shot or something in the back of the head. Well, because I mean that certain framing, you can tell shit's about to happen. I was like, okay, something's about to happen. But I honestly thought it was just going to be an innocent journey about these guys just saving their friends' remains. But I guess the fact that they were after this gold muddied things, and obviously it was maybe a bit of karma involved, and so it was interesting.
Yeah, but there was. About halfway through the film, they go to this hotel bar in the countryside where their guide is taking them through this journey. And they go to this hotel bar, and David meets Heidi, who's like a founder of an organization dedicated to clearing landmines, and they call themselves LAM. As soon as she describes about how they're the ones that clear landmines, that's their mission in life. I'm like, someone's getting blown up by a landmine in this fucking movie. And then when you see Eddie literally just walk back, like just talking and walking back, I'm like, here we go. And it's the angle was setting it up. I'm like, he's about to blow up. And literally I was watching the screen and like he blows up and like there's like a second of silence and I'm just in my living room and like my roommate was laughing because it was silence. I was like, there it is. Like I knew it.
Yeah, so
it was there.
Yeah, so I knew something was going to happen. I knew he was going to be killed or something. But we'd just seen it in like the scene before, some Vietnam guys kind of like following them, stalking them, and they had guns or whatever. So I was like, oh, he's just gonna, while it's kind of focused on, what was this particular character's name? Was he Eddie, this guy? Or?
That was Eddie.
I thought we're just gonna see him get shot in the head or something. But yeah, I spaced on the mine thing at the time. But in hindsight, that was like very overtly set up. So
good thing that those other guys from Lamb were right there, Dools, when they needed them.
Convenient. I mean, you imagine they also probably awesome. Beelined it when they heard the explosion.
Yeah, well, I thought that was like, I love that scene where David actually stood on a mine, he heard a click. He's like, guys!
Yeah.
They all came over, they're like, and then Lamb came over, it was just like, all right, what we need to do is just pray that it doesn't explode. There has to be another way. And there's that great line where she's like, if there is, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's just like...
I actually didn't think it was going to explode. I thought they were going to go to all that effort to pull him off or whatever, and it was actually going to be okay.
Yeah, same.
But no, I mean, that definitely would not work, by the way. Like, no chance.
It wouldn't have worked.
It looked like the explosion was right behind him.
Without a scratch.
Yeah,
the kid was just like absolutely fine. But what do you think about? Because there was, of course, the I liked the discrepancy between the group of what they were going to do with the money, because of course Storm and Norman when they found it back in the days of the Vietnam War, he said that this money needed to go towards the people, the black culture people, there's also the mind of like, this needs to help each other's families, etc. So like, did you like that there was a bit of the conflict of like morality? I found it.
Yeah, well, so Eddie, as he was kind of explaining, well, let's not forget what Norman wanted to do with the gold. Like, this was meant to go back to the community. And then you had James, who's David's father again? Paul. Who was, obviously quite self-centered in it for himself, but at the same time, you could tell he was especially grief-stricken and guilt-ridden. He was probably mainly there for Norman, but I'm sure the gold was like, okay, well, if we can get the gold, then we're getting the fucking gold. When that dude blew up, and that was like graphic as fuck. Like he didn't just have like his fucking feet blown off or anything. That was like his entire, from the torso down, just gone.
And his arms gone.
And I was thinking, like, fuck, so they've come all this way to find their friend's remains, only to lose another one. And I was like, Jesus, man. And I honestly thought that might be the end of it, and then it just keeps ramping up, and then I was like, oh my god, okay. So
we need an 80s style action like shootout scene, Dools. We need.
Oh yeah. No, so the morale, the morals of them going after the gold. I mean, you got to imagine everything that happens subsequent to them. You're finding the gold is like karmic action in some sense, because they stole it or whatever, or they had disingenuous intentions. Like, they claimed they were doing it for Norman, and when in actuality their true intentions were revealed. And what's his name taking the gun from that Vietnamese
Otis.
Lady. So because he obviously wasn't too trustworthy of everyone, and from there you could kind of tell, like, oh, okay, so maybe there's a bit more going on. Maybe there's going to be some conflict in regards to how they distribute the gold. So yeah, I mean, what did you? Yeah, well, we're going to talk about Paul, because he's surely the standout,
definitely.
Right? He is the standout in this film.
He goes insane by the end of it, Dools.
Dude, I loved the fourth wall breaking monologues. They were great.
Oh, that was
awesome!
Insane. That massive monologue where he's just macheting his way through the forest. You can see he's going slowly insane. That snake, though, like, that scared the shit out of me. That was terrifying. Oh man, I can't do snakes. It's the one thing, Dools.
I don't think if it weren't for him getting shot to hell, that snake probably would have been the end of him. Snake bite. True. And then seeing him shoot the snake, and how it just was all getting chopped up into pieces by the bullets.
Yeah.
That just looked comical.
Oh, man, that was awesome. But, so there's also the conflict of, like, whose money is this exactly? Is it USA's money, or is it people of Vietnam? There's that whole conflict, and you've got the back and forth, 80s style action scenes, which I found good. I found they were, very unnecessary, though. I didn't need this fucking shootout. That was what kind of deterred me by the end of it. I'm like, oh, here we go. But I did love the what was his name? The guy from Godzilla with Matthew Broderick. The
French dude?
Is it Paul? Yeah, the French guy.
I only remember him from the Pink Panther with Steve Martin.
Jean Reno. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's in that. He's in Leon the Professional. He's in Mission Impossible as well as Da Vinci Code. I found him he's changed a figure, hasn't he? He's age hasn't been very kind to that man.
I was thinking the same. I was like, fucking hell, we have not seen this guy in a while, and life has been especially cruel to this man.
Yeah, but it was good to have him back, and he loves playing that sort of villainous, can't really trust sort of guy. And I feel like he got his just desserts at the end of it, which was great. But what do you think about the end with the shootout? I did love the line of what was it, the bloods don't die, we just multiply.
Yeah, that was a cool line. Yeah, the shootout, I think it was definitely like once I realized what the movie was doing, like it felt like it changed genres halfway through. Like once they entered the jungle, it was like, oh, okay, well, you know, things are going to get a little wacky in here. And I think I understand what he was trying to do. Like he was trying to just like, well, this is like they were destined to come back here. That, you know, it was ultimately their their destiny just to come back to Vietnam and to ultimately die there. And so you know, maybe, you know, I think he hinted at like that the characters kind of like also accepted that, because especially with Paul, and you know, there's a flashback scene where he gave Norman? No, not Norman, but no, a flashback scene but still in the present, where he gave one of the other guys a letter like, you know, should I die, and it was for his son.
Oh, Otis.
Yeah, Otis, sorry. So that kind of gave me the idea, but okay, so maybe they actually all kind of went there, like in the back of their minds, like, yeah, this could be a one-way trip kind of thing. So so I mean, that's just a theory. But then again, they did seem pretty determined to get the gold and get his remains out of there, which they did, which they still did, which is good. And you would also hope they got Eddie's out as well, whatever was left.
Yeah.
You only really see Norman's family at the end grieving over his casket. But
yeah. I like that they got the casket.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It kind of felt like it switched gears to a ridiculous degree. I honestly, I mean, I can't be angry at a film being something that I expected to be, but not being it, because, you know, well, that's my own bias and whatever. But I really just honestly thought it was going to be this cool, heartfelt story about these guys just finding their friends' remains and just going on that journey together, reliving the thing, and kind of helping, you know, being there for one another, being their like own support system, talking about PTSD, which again was another prevalent theme throughout the film. And you know, we learn in the end why Paul especially was so haunted by Norman. And you know, he would be like, dude, I talk to him every night, man. I see him every night. You have no idea what it's like, man. That scene of with him on the boat where they were going through the fish market, and that fucking guy bothering him with the chickens. By the way, they depicted Vietnam so accurately. I mean, clearly they filmed there, but like the way the locals bother you to buy shit, dude, like they are fucking relentless. They would,
really?
No, dude, it's ridiculous. Like I was like, this is so accurate, it's hilarious. But yeah. So I think just lost my train of thought. Yeah. So I mean, it just
talking about on the boat with the chickens.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just more the point of like the theme of PTSD, and you know, you could clearly see him like Paul especially flaring up quite a bit, and just like those memories coming back of the country and the war. And yeah, I mean, I kind of was hoping they would deal with that a little bit more, because so Spike typically will, you know, insert these clips and quotes from, you know, whether it be it Malcolm X, MLK, and other you know, notable black figures throughout, you know, modern US history. And that's great, except like, so for Black Klansman or something, or Do the Right Thing, it's like contextually makes a lot of sense. But I didn't really feel like it was too much of a commentary on race so much. Like they touched on it a little bit, like in the flashback scenes with Storm and Norman, how, you know, they treated blacks like fodder over there in the Vietnam War. Or the white rich kids would go to college, while they would send the blacks to the front line. And that's all I just wish it touched on more. I thought it was going to be more of an exploration of that. And it was just, you know, it was... And then this kind of like, you know, left-hand turn at the end into how you described a wacky 80s action movie, I just kind of thought kind of cheapened things a bit.
I agree.
And so and then they kind of insert more stuff at the end, more present day historical kind of like race oriented things, and then especially after how what the film was like in the third act, where, you know, kind of just went up the wall. I was like, wait, how is this? I was like, well, you know, like I was just confused at its relevancy. Like those clips at the end of the film. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I just felt like it wasn't like this this impactful social commentary that most of his other films are, at least in the end. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, like as you said, I feel like the third act completely cheapens the whole message that he was trying to go for, which I was all on board for. Advocating PTSD and all these social messages that like today really need to be told over and over and over and over again, because things aren't going to change very like in the short run. It's going to take time, and of course it's going to take education. But I feel like the third act kind of just did him such a disservice that like I was all on board for the first two acts, and then as soon as the landmine was blown up, then it all just kind of turned into like, all right, here comes the rest of the budget.
Because it really felt like it was going to be a condemnation of the war and of violence and all that, and they were coming back there to, they're on a peaceful mission to find their friends' remains and just to get the fuck out of there, and to get the gold, I guess, which I guess should have been the first red flag, that it was not going to be a simple recovery mission. But so that's why I was like, oh well, I mean, I feel like Spike was just like fulfilling his quota of having an MLK quote put in the front and a Malcolm X quote put in the back or something. And it's just like, well, where's the substance throughout the film that backs that up, that Black Klansman and Do the Right Thing has? I mean, I was just a little confused by that, because I mean, the shootout at the end literally just flies in the face of the idea that, of the first half of the film where, they're discussing PTSD and other things in a really serious tone, and it's just like, well, pick up an AK-7, motherfucker, we're going to war. It's like, what just happened? What is going on?
Yeah.
And by the way, just real quick, the soundtrack, did you find that to be extremely weird and off-putting in places? They use songs that just, I was like, what?
Yeah, I found it very Spike. Spike loves that sort of shit, though.
Yeah, but like, this really stood out to me. Like, I don't remember anything like this in Black Klansman. Like, it was just like, it felt like it was almost like studio chosen music for some of the scenes. Like, some of it felt quite odd. I don't know. It just stood out to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, but like straight up, go listen to Inside Man or something like that, and he does do like weird soundtracks and stuff like that. That's kind of his thing. There's a lot of camera work that is very Spike Lee. Like even at the end with the shit, I keep forgetting his name.
Paul?
Otis. Jesus Christ, I'm losing my mind over here, Dools. I'm losing my mind. With Lotus
Maybe
and
lost it a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. Lotus and I think it's V or T. T. I think it's T.
His Vietnamese mistress.
Yes, where they like basically get married and then they like smile to the camera and it's like that tracking shot where it's like taking him down a hallway. They did that exact same shot at the end of Black Klansman. So he loves shots like that. Like wasn't
that him and his daughter sitting in the thing? He wasn't getting married.
Oh, was it? Oh, it might have been the daughter. Actually, you might have been right there. Yeah.
That was a pretty funny scene where a darker skinned Vietnamese girl walks in. Maybe late 20s, early 30s, give or take, and he puts two and two together very quickly, and he goes, "Oh dear." Yeah, that was great. That was a great scene. But all in all, I thought it was good. It had potential to be really great. But I feel like the third act kind of just cheapened it and it kind of lost its way and it went a billion different directions and turned into a different movie. I love Spike Lee. I'll be there first in line for the next Spike Lee movie. I think he's one of the great directors working today. He always produces and directs movies that mean more than something just to look at, they mean a message. And I feel like the third act kind of cheapened that message, unfortunately. Yeah, I was just expecting more on that front, because he's always so, I guess, on point. Like he really just hits the nail on the head with his kind of perspective and. Yeah, I mean, and he did in parts for sure. Like I think the commentary on PTSD and how Black Americans were just kind of like used as fodder on the front lines. I mean, I just wish it went into that more, man. I just thought it was so fascinating, and then to just send him out in a blaze of glory at the end was like, Felt like really was the opposite of what I thought was going to happen. And it wasn't like a cool kind of subversion of my expectations kind of thing. It was like that's really disappointing kind of thing. So, yeah, but no, I mean, it sounds like we're shitting on the movie a little bit. I think it's definitely worth a watch. I mean, look, while the action scene feels a little ridiculous in the moment, it's actually still a lot of fun to watch. They fuck these guys up. And
they really do. I love the line of like, "Can you handle this?" He's like, "This is my first time in Nam, son." I love that. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you would have missed it because you haven't watched The Wire yet. You fucking piece. But the guy, who's the guy in the red shirt again? Who like
Melvin?
Yeah, Melvin. So Melvin, when they, I think it was after the first little shootout where the truck pulls up, and he goes like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Like, so that's what his character Clay Davis is like. That was like his catchphrase in The Wire. It was like, and that was 110% a little nod to that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Must have been. That's awesome. Nice, Dools. We'll close us out.
Has closed us out.
Thanks, Dools.
I did the intro.
I literally always do this. I'm like, all right, he's going to close it. I keep forgetting that you will never do it. All right, fair enough. Thank you very much for listening to More Cops on Duty, Internet's #1 film, game, TV, podcast. We post twice a week, Wednesday for your Prime, Friday for your more review discussion show. What are we doing next week, Dools?
I think we're going to aim, and likely we'll be able to review The Last of Us Part 2.
Ooh, we're getting it tomorrow.
Biggie,
11 a.m.
Big one. The big fish.
11 a.m. delivery time. Cannot wait. I'm counting down the minutes. This is a once-in-a-lifetime sort of game release until Last of Us Part 3. But yeah, so catch us on all your favorite streaming services, mainly Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all your favorite socials when Dools decides to post. But until next time, I'm Harry, Dools is Dools, you are you, we're the More Cops of Duty, and we're out.
Take care of yourself.